Hello, it's 12 hours GMT. This is the Midday News. The bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra. We're also live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We're streaming live on Facebook and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Laura FM in Laura, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, Sky FM in Sunyani, and Victory FM Aplau. Go digital on Spotify and the MyJoy online app. Coming up.
What size of remuneration can be supported by the economy? How do we build our economy together so that we can get the development we want, at the same time also making sure that workers are well paid?
Government warns current agitations on the labor front could have dire consequences for the security and economy of the nation. We'll hear from the Employment Minister and President Akufo-Addo as a stakeholders meeting to address the labor concerns is underway. Meanwhile, the Trades Union Congress is warning of more layoffs.
The situation is worse in the mining sector. The Ghana Mine Workers Union received a letter from Newmont, Ghana. They have already written to the Chief Labour Officer notifying him that the company is going to declare its workers redundant.
Also, University of Ghana lecturers back in the classroom today, but they have served notice the national leadership of calling off another strike as majority of local chapters vote to reject the suspension.
At the end of the referendum, the next step is that if majority of the members do say that we need to continue, then an extraordinary meeting will have to be constituted to determine the date for the next strike action.
We are live on various university campuses across the country where students are seeing their lectures for the first time after more than 7 weeks of resuming.
It was a very interactive class. He introduced the course to us, gave us the course outline.
Introduction to agribiotech, and it was a TA that came to class.
Also this afternoon, scores of students in 3 cities in Ukraine cry for help as they have been left out of the evacuation processes amidst the Russian-Ukraine conflict.
We are stuck here in Sumy. There is a city at eastern part of Ukraine. No trains are going out, no trains are coming in. Neither are buses as well. So we are just stuck here.
We have details as government makes arrangement to evacuate more than 460 students.
The students will be received by officials of our diplomatic missions, honorary consuls, and officials of the students' union or associations.
And coming up in sports.
Despite extending their lead at a summit of the Ghana Premier League table by 10 points, Asante Kotoko head coach Dr. Prosper Nate Ogum is a worried man. We have details in 20 minutes.
And coming up later in the bulletin, highlighting gaps in Ghana's mental health care delivery system, we'll hear how some patients are allegedly subjected to sexual abuse by caregivers at psychiatric facilities.
He will come and he demands to have sex with me at the Bongo District Hospital. When I get there, then you tell me it's at his quarters. I should come there. It got to a point that it's like, if I don't give in to his demands, I can't get drugs.
Thanks for choosing us. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I'm Ernest Menu. And we start from the eastern region where government officials and labor groups have converged to find solutions to the myriad of problems facing Ghanaian workers. The labor front since the beginning of the year has been that of turmoil, with workers demanding better conditions of service. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, the Civil and Local Government Workers Association, CLOGSAG, and a host of others have been agitating for better pay. Employment and Labor Relations Minister Ignatius Bafo-Ewa is warning the current labor agitations could impact on the security of the nation if not handled well.
We are all aware of some ongoing labor agitations that the country is experiencing. These incidents have the potential of impacting negatively on productivity, security, and the well-being of all Ghanaians if not properly handled. I'm, however, happy that government always resorts to social dialogue as a tried and tested approach to addressing labor issues for the maintenance of harmonious relations on the labor front. The aim is to arrive at a consensus in the interest of national development. The state of the economy. Certainly, you cannot talk about labor without talking about the economy. What size of labor can be supported by the economy? What size of remuneration can be supported by the economy? How do we build our economy together so that we can get the development we want, at the same time also making sure that workers are well paid? How do we get involved?
That's the Employment and Labour Relations Minister Ignatius Bafwe, while the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Dr. Anthony Yalba, was unhappy the country's labour laws do not protect employees and asked the state to review the laws. He's also revealed that mining giant Newmont intends to declare a mass redundancy in the coming days.
The recent disturbances we are witnessing at the labour front are a manifestation of economic hardship workers are going through. Many industrial disputes remain unresolved due to the weaknesses in our labor administration institutions, especially the National Labour Commission, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and the Labour Department. These institutions lack the necessary human and material resources to deal with the multiplicity of challenges which lead to intractable labor disputes. Financial support for these institutions will empower them to deal with these difficult labor issues. Currently, just about 1.7 million Ghanaians in the workforce have access to pension or registered under SNIT. Even those who are employed in the formal sector, a very significant number of employers have refused to either register their employees with SNIT or they are refused pay their contributions to SNIT. It is regrettable to note the situation is worse in the mining sector. The Ghana Mine Workers Union received a letter from Newmont, Ghana. They have already written to the Chief Labour Officer notifying him that the company is going to declare its workers redundant.
That's Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Dr. Anthony Yalba. On its part, the Ghana Employers Association is of the view that deepening lack of trust is partly responsible for the labour agitations in the country. Daniel Champon is president of the association.
The Ghanaian economy shows signs of emerging from its challenges. The social partners need to redouble our efforts in sustaining and building upon the gains we have chalked up so far as a country. There is indeed a lot more to be done, and we are committed to doing that as employers. It is time for us to strengthen the mutual trust, common understanding, and the shared purpose we have built over the years in order to establish a harmonious labour relations environment, which is a necessary condition for the rapid economic recovery and general well-being we are all looking for. The massive economic opportunities presented by AFTA and some big-ticket public-private partnership investments.
Daniel Champon there, he's president of the Employers Association. Let's go to the Eastern region now. Correspondent Maxwell Kudeko joins us live with an update from the conference. Maxwell, we understand the president has been speaking about the UTAG strike. What has he been saying?
Well, the president said that government has been committed to the processes of finding a long-lasting solution to the impasses. The president says that his government is committed to ensure that UTAG return to the classroom very soon. He says that they are going to find out a very affordable and equitable resolution.
Peace prevailing on the industrial front. I know this relatively stable labor outlook did not happen by chance, but through negotiation and compromise. We therefore need to strengthen the rapport between tripartite partners for greater cooperation. This is important. In the wake of the recent 6-week strike action by the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, Ghana government is determined to find a satisfactory solution to this impasse and ensure that the academic calendar is not substantially derailed. The best form of negotiations are those in which both parties to the dispute exhibit good faith within the context of what is affordable and equitable. I continue to hope that our dons will see this in that light and help bring the impasse to an end.
President Akufo-Addo there. Maxwell is still with us on the line. Maxwell, what else has come up for discussion at this conference?
Well, the major issue that has to do with labor protection is the laws that govern employment or the labor in the country. So the Secretary General of the trade unions, Dr. Antonia Yauba, has been advocating for a review of that law in the sense that it seems not to protect the interests of the Ghanaian worker.
Thank you very much. That's Eastern Region correspondent Maxwell Kudako there. Let's stay on the labor front because there's an emerging standoff between management of the University of Ghana and lecturers there over a directive forcing the lecturers to return to class today. A High Court order had left the national leadership of UTAG with no choice but to call off the strike, with member chapters urged to ratify the decision. Well, 9 out of the 15 members have already voted to reject that decision. But what does this mean for the strike itself? Here's Dr. Solomon Nunu, National President of UTAG.
Once a strike action is suspended, we have to go back to the classroom and then go back to teaching. So whether a campus has voted against the suspension or for the suspension, all of us will go back to the classroom and go back to lecture. At the end of the referendum, we'll collect the results. After the collation, the next step is that if majority of the members do say that we need to continue with the strike action, then an extraordinary meeting of the National Executive Committee will have to be constituted to determine the date for the next strike action.
You had the National President of UTAG, Dr. Solomon Nunu. Classes were expected to begin today, February 28, across the country. But even before the day could break, the University of Ghana chapter of UTAG had served notice it was not going to return to the lecture hall. Here, extract of a letter addressed to the registrar of the school cited by Joy News.
Portions of that letter reads that first, UTAG National Executive decision to suspend the strike has been rejected by majority of members of public universities, and it will not be prudent to commence teaching for few days only to resume the strike again, given the toll this may likely impose on students and parents. Secondly, given the trust deficit between UTAG and government, members indicated their preference to see the outcome of the talks or engagement initiated by government to resolve the impasse before they return to their classroom. So kindly be notified accordingly. And this is signed by Professor Ransford Jampo, is the secretary for UG-UTAG.
That's the letter that UG sent to the management of the University of Ghana. Well, management responded almost immediately, insisting the lecturers must return to the lecture halls and begin classes without fail. My colleague Manuel Cranton joins me in the studio with a copy of that response. Manuel, what is the argument of the UG management?
So management says, and this is written, addressed to Legon UTAG and written by the registrar of the school, and says that following communication from UTAG NEC that the strike had been suspended, the university's business and executive committee rescheduled the academic calendar for lectures to commence on Monday, 28 February 2022. Now, the BEC has not varied this decision, and lectures are therefore expected to take place until such a time that the university is officially notified of a resumed strike. Additionally, UG-UTAG is hereby notified of a directive from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, asking all public funded universities to make provision for the resumption of teaching and academic activities following receipt of notification of the suspension of the strike by UTAG NEC. Heads of department and deans under the supervision and direction of provost to ensure that academic work for 2021-2022 starts on Monday, 28 February 2022, as earlier communicated.
And you have been monitoring the situation on the Legon campus. Did the lecturers actually return as directed?
Indeed, Ernest, our monitoring revealed that the lecturers have returned to class. In fact, some of the classes which were scheduled to happen this morning actually did happen, and the students have been speaking to us.
I lost everything. I couldn't remember anything when I entered class, but when he started the lectures, when I started following, I got to understand everything was. But we just pray they don't come off with this strike thing again, because we really want to.
You just saw the timetable and some notifications that they'll be starting lectures today. But early this morning, we've seen other notifications that they've called off, they are not starting, so we are waiting. It's 9:30 and no lecture comes, we go back. You just saw the timetable and some notifications that they'll be starting lectures today. But early this morning, we've seen other notifications that they've called off, they are not starting, so we are waiting. It's it's 9:30 and no lecture comes, we go back.
Those are some students of the University of Ghana. Let's go to the Ashanti region now and speak to Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku. Emmanuel, you've been monitoring events at the KNUST. What can you report from there?
All right, Ernest. So here at KNUST, academic activity is gradually taking shape at KNUST. And whilst I was monitoring on campus, I saw some students commuting to class for lectures. And then in one of the lecture halls I entered, I saw a lecturer in front of the class lecturing these students. However, in certain classrooms, in the absence of the lecturers, the TAs take over. That is, the teaching assistants, they take charge of the class.
Today, some departments and some courses had lectures on Friday, but others couldn't hold lectures. So, but today, I'm sure everybody is going to be around too.
Well, he was the HOD too, so he introduced the course to us, gave us the course outline, brushed through, I think 6 of them, brushed through them, and then told us how it's going to. It was a very interactive class.
We had introduction to agribiotech, and it was a TA that came to class. But I don't know why the lecturer didn't come. It's our greatest prayer, because you can't come and waste time in school like that.
Our lecturers have communicated to us that they will be present in the classroom, so we are hopeful and anticipating to have lectures.
So that's the situation at the KNUST campus. Let's go to the Central region now. Correspondent Richard Kojinyako joins us with an update of what's happening at the University of Cape Coast. Richard, what can you report?
Well, so what I can report is that the students have started lectures, but a lot of them are not on campus. They are yet to hear that the strike has been called off, and so a lot of them are now going for lectures. Others would also be returning this evening, I'm told. I spoke with the UTAC president of UCC, and he said that they have called off the strike, but they will be voting today. And so in some of the lecture theaters I also visited, some of the lectures were there. Other lecture theaters too, some of the lectures were absent.
And Richard, also in the Central region, this time at the University of Education, Winneba, we understand there's some confusion rocking the campus today because of certain dismissals that have been, issued by the management. What can you report?
Well, so this is at the University of Education, Winneba. You remember that a high court at the university at Winneba ordered that the former vice chancellor, Professor Mauta Aboke, should be reinstated to his his previous position, and other 5 people should also be reinstated to their former grade and not their positions. So this has brought about some confusion now. There's been a termination of the appointment of the current finance director, which members of convocation of the university and the University Teacher Association there, they are saying that it is irregular, it is unconstitutional. The council chairman is behaving and acting unilaterally, and so they want the Ministry of Education to intervene to sack or to dismiss the council chair from there.
That's our Central Region correspondent, Richard Kojinyako. And speaking of education, some Ghanaian students in 3 cities in Ukraine are crying for help as they have been left out of the evacuation process secured by Ghana's government for Ghanaian nationals. The students who find themselves in the heat of the crossfire between Ukraine and Russia say they fear for their lives. We'll hear from one of them shortly. But first, here's the Foreign Affairs Minister, Shirley Ayokobotre, confirming that government has successfully evacuated 460 Ghanaians from Ukraine. She, however, indicated that some of these cities are unable to evacuate the students because of peculiar challenges. Listen.
May I therefore add that information received indicates that there are still 3 cities in Ukraine where students cannot be evacuated from due to the high-risk situation identified there, as reported by our honorary consul. These cities are Kharkov, there are hotspots on the way, Sumy, also hotspots on the way, and Dnipropetrovsk, which is experiencing a complete lockdown. Another challenge which our compatriots are faced with is the fear of crossing at borders close to Russia for obvious reasons. We had requested our diplomatic mission in Moscow to assist with their passage, as it will be unreasonable and dangerous to now start looking for another border to access. Fortunately, there are reports of incursions at the border called Sumy, which has posed a challenge for about 85 of our compatriots who sought to exit that side of Ukraine into Russia.
Meanwhile, some of the students in these exempted areas are considering walking to nearby cities as they run out of transport options. Raymond is one of the students in Sumy.
We are stuck here in Sumy. There is a city at eastern part of Ukraine. No trains are going out, no trains are coming in. Neither are buses as well. So we are just stuck here. I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. And I don't know the evacuation plans. But for us here in Sumy, there is nothing on the table for us. There is a city nearby. It's like a 3 hours drive. It's called Portava. That is where most people are actually planning on going. Some are even planning on walking to that place to get a train, because there's no way you are actually going to get a train from here to anywhere. So some are planning to walk to get to Portava before they get a train, and then they move to either Lviv and then get a train to wherever they want to go. So that is the situation now. Honestly, I don't know how I'm feeling, honestly, because this whole thing going on in this country, it's strange because people are being evacuated, and we here in Sumy, it seems like there's nothing in for us. So
that's a Ghanaian student stranded in Sumy in Ukraine. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa. Mr. Ablakwa, thank you for your time here on the Midday News. You are one of the foremost people who called on government to swiftly intervene and evacuate these Ghanaian students who are stranded in Ukraine. Following the intervention and all the measures announced by the ministry, are you satisfied?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say that I have already commended the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration for shifting their original position and commencing evacuations. However, it is important to stress that in my communication with students in Ukraine and other nationals of ours, it is clear that there is still a lot of work to be done. Our embassy officials do not appear to be physically present at the border crossing points to extend consular assistance, particularly in countries like Romania, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary. The students seem to really go through a hell of a struggle. And then when they are assisted by the officials in those countries, that is either Romanian officials or Slovak officials or Hungarian officials, it is at that point that later on our officials go to meet them. This is what the students are telling me. And so I would want to appeal to the Foreign Ministry to ask our consular officials to be more up and doing. They should reach out to the officials who are manning those borders and have some bilateral arrangement with them. And some physical presence will help, because there are complaints of racism, the ordeal, the trauma that they go through as they struggle to cross the border points. I think that we can explore diplomatic channels to ease the burden on those who are crossing. So that's my first concern. The second concern I have is with those who are stranded in Ukraine as I speak to you, particularly students in Sumy. My engagement with them, it will appear that they have not been communicated to at all. They call the hotlines, nobody picks up. Our officials owe them some explanation, some information. What is the exit plan? Should they just stay put? If they must stay put, at where? And at what point in time would they be attended to? You see, we need to open channels of communication so that people don't feel abandoned, don't feel left out.
Very well.
So I am hoping that government will pay attention to some of these residual issues.
Thank you very much. That's the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, highlighting gaps in Ghana's mental health care delivery system. We'll hear how some patients are allegedly subjected to sexual abuse by caregivers at psychiatric facilities.
He will come and he demands to have sex with me at the Bongo District Hospital. When I get there, then you tell me it's at his quarters. I should come there. It got to a point that it's like, if I don't give in to his demands, I can't get drugs.
brought you to my house this early morning. I hope all is well.
All is never well with me, Nick Bakbo. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are now giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small stealing. I am tired.
I told you so, Efokoku.
It's all because you are trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlum has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes. Conveniente, also at Amrahia, where it's contemporary but super affordable apartments. Prices start from $35,000. And the Avant-Garde, located in Adjurigano, which has sleek luxury apartments. For more information, please visit edlumhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlum Housing, where spacious homes cost less.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News with me, Ernest Minus. Now time for sports, and Muftal Nabila Abdullahi is here with the latest.
Asante Kotoko head coach Dr. Prosper Nate Ogum believes fatigue is setting in his team because they had no break before the second round of the Ghana Premier League began. According to him, his team did not play well against Dreams FC because of the number of games they've played without a break.
We didn't have some days off. He's been training, playing matches, so it's fatigue. But then all over the world, good teams are able to win even on a very bad day, on a very difficult day. So I think it's good for the team that even though we didn't play as expected, the few chances that we got, we were able to create goals out of it. And I'm happy because the aim of the game is to score and get the 3 points. Sometimes it's not about how beautifully you play, but it's about how you get the points.
It's not about how beautifully you play, but it's about picking the maximum points.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, they can do it. Their CEO is saying that he wants 100,000 supporters to contribute $100 so that he can build a stadium within 18 months.
Let's see how that goes. Muftal, thank you very much for the latest in sports. She was allegedly blackmailed into believing the only way she could access drugs for her condition was by having sex with her caregiver. Mariam Isifu lost her memory after a ghastly motor accident and was later diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Her dependence on psychotropic medications drove her into the hands of a mental health service provider who would take advantage of her. Manuel Cranton has more in today's episode of our latest Hotline documentary, Mind Matters.
In a town called Bongo, I have come to meet another mental health patient, Mariama Isifu. She too, a trained teacher. Mariama was involved in a motor accident which almost claimed her life. Mariama's brain suffered a major blow.
After the accident, I lost my memory. Sometimes I can be there throughout the day and night. I can't sleep for several days or weeks.
Soon, Mariama was not only battling memory loss, she was diagnosed with a bipolar disorder, making her hugely dependent on medications. Mariama's experience in going through that phase of her life exposed another troubling feature of Ghana's mental health delivery system: sexual abuse.
Met a mental health service provider and we spoke, and he agreed that I could be coming there for every month for healthcare until he was transferred to Bongo Hospital. I followed him there to the Bongo Hospital. There it all started. Then he started sexually harassing me. He will come and he demands sex, to have sex with me. Sometimes, many times when I go to Bongo, as at then he was there at the Bongo District Hospital. When I get there, then you tell me it's at his quarters. I should come there. It got to a point that it looked like it's like if I don't give in to his demands, I can't get drugs.
These sexual encounters were rough and as frequent as she needed her medications. Someone entrusted with the duty of protecting her was now abusing her. All of this should not have happened to Mariama.
And those are excerpts of the latest Hotline documentary, Mind Matters. The full documentary airs later today on the Joy News channel at 8:30 p.m. Time now for Showbiz. Kofi Effort has the latest.
Sarkodie has been praised by Denmark-based DJ Kofi for being easy to work with. The DJ says Sarkodie requires honesty and good communication, and you are good to go. However, make sure you've got the cash too, because Sarkodie is expensive. Meanwhile, Burna Boy survived an accident with his Ferrari in Lagos on Saturday the 26th of February, which he described as a bad one. However, even though his legs hurt a little, the African giant says he is fine and everything is under control. It's 5 days away from experiencing culture and tradition at your doorstep. On Saturday, the 5th of March, Joy FM's Showbiz A to Z comes to you live from the Center for National Culture in Kumasi with detailed discussion on the Ashanti Kingdom and its contribution to tourism to mark Ghana Month on Joy.
And that's it for Showbiz, but that's our package this afternoon. Many thanks for your company. Our top story this hour: government warns agitations on the labor front could have dire consequences for the security and economy of the nation. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has assured government is determined to resolve the impasse with the University Teachers Association. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino. Up next is Living Word with Dr. Mensa Otabil.